Hi, welcome to Talk About here on Shaw TV North Island. My name is still John Twigg and I'm glad you're watching. We've got two very interesting guests today. Amber Zirnhelt, she's Community Planning and Development Services Manager, and Kevin Brooks is Development Services Supervisor. We're going to be talking about planning, official community plan. Thank you both for coming in.
Thanks.
Now, there's a process underway. Actually, I don't know, it seems about 6 processes. But one is refreshing downtown Campbell River, and the other one is the OCP and zoning bylaw review. So can you give us a short brief about what's going on?
Sure. Well, I'll start with the downtown.
Okay.
So with the downtown, we are looking at developing a design concept for streetscape improvements. So that includes everything from the street network to decorative features to public spaces to the interface between buildings and the sidewalks, so how our buildings look in the downtown.
Washrooms?
Potentially, looking at what the needs are in the community in our downtown and really how we plan for future upgrades to our downtown. And what is the character and unique theme? How do we identify Campbell River's downtown?
And how's the timing on that?
So we're starting that process. It's underway right now. We have a public survey open until April 30th, and then we will be doing a public design workshop happening in June 6th to 8th, and we'll be reaching out to stakeholders on an ongoing basis throughout the process. We also are looking at the infrastructure below ground, so that includes sewer, water, storm drainage, the interaction of our street trees with our infrastructure, as well as looking at municipal electric and fiber optics. So it's quite comprehensive, and we're pulling it all together.
Quite complex too.
It is, yeah. We're pulling it all together into an overall plan that the city will be able to move forward with in terms of implementing future capital projects in our downtown.
Yeah, so I think you mentioned before, sort of finishing in October so the city can deal with, the council can deal with it for budget purposes?
Absolutely, that's the intent.
Yeah. And Kevin, the OCP and zoning bylaw
review, yes. We began OCP and zoning bylaw review earlier this year, and we had our first such session on March 8th. Our OCP and zoning bylaw review is more a housekeeping review or administrative review. We're not doing a complete review of the entire document. We're looking at areas where we've had conflict or administrative issues over the past several years since the OCP was adopted. Those include looking at the Quinsam Heights area and how that area should be developed, should be status quo, or should it be something different? And that's a community values discussion.
I'm just going to jump in there. At a recent council meeting, there was a big piece of land where somebody applied for rezoning on.
Correct.
And council deferred it until after this process.
Yeah, and because that piece of land is within the area that we're talking about as part of this review.
Yeah.
And the discussion really is, what do people want to see in Quinsam Heights? Do they want to see it a suburban style similar to Willow Point, or do they want to see something else? And so we have this range of
hippie farms.
Potentially.
We're recording on 420, by the way.
Yeah, potentially. So there's a range that could happen there. So we're just wanting to have a larger community discussion on that. We're looking at secondary residences, or secondary suites, carriage homes. How
not just in Quinsam, but these are some of the other issues.
Yeah, these are some of the other issues, and that's right across the city. How do those fit into the community? And we have heard people want them, but there are potential issues such as parking and noise.
A lot of people with mortgages would like secondary suites.
Exactly.
Mortgage helpers.
Yeah, exactly. Or for when we're all aging and our parents are aging in that place, so that your parents can age in place. There is a lot of desire for that. Yeah. We're also looking at our commercial designations. Basically, how do our commercial designations work? We have highway commercial, we have downtown, and we have our village centers such as Willow Point or Merecroft and Campbellton. And how do all those elements work together? So we're trying to bring some clarity around those policies.
And spot zoning like the Willows?
Yeah, and spot zoning issues, those are a challenge when we deal with those issues specifically. And the final one is our development permit guidelines, that tool that helps us work with developers when they're developing. We're just looking to provide some greater clarity around how those work and how those are administered, so people understand how they apply to their properties.
These are DCCs, development cost charges?
No, these aren't DCCs. Development cost charges are a separate tool that are charged
Okay.
at time of development. A development permit, guidelines and development permit are something that's required when you negotiate with the developer at time when they're applying for a development. Two examples are, one is form and character, which is the aesthetics, the urban design of the building. The other one are environmental development permits, and that's like streamside setbacks or
right.
hazardous slopes.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is bring some greater clarity to language so people know exactly when those
Yeah.
apply and how those apply to their properties.
Jumping sideways a bit, is urban tree cover part of that process or a different one?
No, urban tree cover isn't a specific part of that process, although as part of the development permit processes, we do talk about landscaping and streamside setbacks with regards to vegetation, things of that nature.
Okay.
Our official community plan does have some goals around increasing canopy coverage and the development of an urban forest management plan. So recently the city endorsed in principle, council endorsed in principle, an urban forest management plan. And so that complements what's already in our existing official community plan. But as Kevin said, we're not doing additional updates to that as part of this process.
Exactly.
And urban food, does it fit in here somewhere?
We're not
My favorite topic.
Yeah, we're not doing anything specific with regards to urban food as part of the official community plan update.
Right.
But we do believe it's going to be part of the discussion when we get to that zoning bylaw update. So we have this basically a two-stage process. One is to clean up some of those conflict issues in the official community plan. The next stage, which will start in the beginning of 2017, is to change our zoning bylaw to match what's coming out of the official community plan update. And we do believe that the conversation around urban food will be a greater part of that.
Yeah.
And again, providing greater clarity to how we want to see urban food rolled out within our community.
And just to add to that as well, with the whole discussion up in the Quinsam Heights area, part of the reason for this discussion is that the vision in our official community plan as it exists today is to promote large estate lots throughout much of that area, and with the idea of supporting hobby farming and some food growing. And so that is reflective of some of the goals in the city's agriculture plan. And so part of the question that we're asking the community is, how should land use development play out in that area? Is it a balance between some urban farming and development? Is it moving towards development? Are we protecting more land for large estate lots and urban farms? So that's the a big debate that's happening as part of that process.
I think I just saw Saanich is allowing backyard goats now.
Yes, they're starting to begin that discussion. Yeah.
So they've gone from chickens to goats. What's next?
Goats.
It'll be horses.
Who knows?
Just a thing about the OCP, because now it's the SOCP.
Yes.
So the official community plan, I think that goes back to the Harcourt era. Is that right?
The name official community?
Well, it was an official community plan which was required by the provincial government. And then along the way, they've amended that, and now it has to be a sustainable. Is that correct?
Sort of. So legislatively, every municipality in BC must have an official community plan, and that's the legislative name under the Local Government Act.
Yeah.
The City of Campbell River integrated sustainability priorities within our official community plan. So we branded it when it was last updated in 2012 as a sustainable official community plan. The technical legal name is official community plan, and that's why you see on our council reports, generally it referenced that way, but the branding for our community-specific plan includes the word sustainability.
Yeah, and that was added in the Jakeway years, was it not?
That was the prior council, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Walter would have, but anyway. Now the process, if there's people watching and they want to get in, I mean, you've had ads in the paper, they can go to the website, but is there a way that you'd recommend for people wanting input?
Probably the easiest way, if people want to be involved in the process, which the more the merrier, is to go to our website, and there's an opportunity to sign up on the website.
Okay,
and
which website? Just the city?
The city, campbellriver.ca /OCP review.
Okay.
And that provides all the updates to date. We have the latest update from our March 8th consultation. Also has the dates of our next sessions, and also has an opportunity for people to sign up for regular updates. And when they sign up for the regular updates, they'll get direct invites and things like that to upcoming events.
Yeah. Now, you guys have been working hard to publicize this, but I get the sense, like you had a meeting at the Maritime Heritage Center, and Kevin, you made a presentation, I see, at the Berwick. but I haven't noticed a buzz in the city about people really getting excited about this.
I agreed. We do have a lot of people very, very interested in the Quinsam Heights issue. The other issues, they're higher policy issues. They're more conceptual issues, and we do have certain groups that are very interested in them. And that's our task as planners, is bringing it back down to the level that people realize how it's going to impact them. That's part of the discussions, and part of what we've been doing. The Rotary presentations, we've done presentations to the Chamber, young professionals, Campbell River. We've been doing a lot of presentations to go out to our community, sit down with them and have those discussions of how these issues that we're talking about really could potentially impact them. So it's bringing it back down so people truly understand the context of what we're talking about.
Right.
We're also reaching out to key stakeholder groups leading up to our consultation events to let them know what the events agendas will look like, why they might be interested to attend, and that direct contact we're finding is really helpful. And also, in particular with the Quinsam Heights initiative, or questions that we're asking, we've reached out directly to property owners. So all of the property owners have been contacted directly to let them know about the process so that they can get involved. And we were pretty happy with our initial turnout for our March 8th process. We had close to 100 people at that. And so it was quite good, considering that the scope of the issues we're looking at is much narrower than when we did a full update to our official community plan.
When I had Guy Dauncey in town after the TV show, we had a public meeting. We got 25 people out. So you got 100.
Yeah, it was
That's pretty good.
Excellent turnout, very good conversation. One of the things like that was our first discussion. We're looking at doing 7 consultations over the entire 2-stage process.
Right.
Our first was on March 8th. Our next 2 are actually on Thursday the 28th from 6 to 9. We're having a workshop session which we're requesting people RSVP to, just so we can determine the numbers we have. And that's going to cover the secondary suites, the development permit guideline issues, and the commercial. And then we're having a separate session on Saturday, April 30th from 10 until 12, where we're actually going to do a design workshop based on the feedback that we've heard so far, where we have stakeholders sit down and start talking about actually scenarios. After that, we'll be presenting them out that night from 6 until 9 that night. If people can't show up to those sessions, people want to RSVP, we'd love to have you. If they can't show up to those sessions, we're actually going to provide the information online and provide a questionnaire so people can actually provide their input to us also.
So nobody will be able to complain they didn't have an opportunity for input.
Well, we want to open this up as wide as possible and get as many people out. We want that community discussion to occur.
I'm going to go back to DCCs because it's a show that I've wanted to do for quite a while. Ron Neufeld was going to come in and talk to me about it, and I still hope to do it. But there's a sense that developers are paying too much for DCCs, and if they were lower, then we'd get more development or something. But on the other hand, the money that DCCs provide is very useful to the city. Have either of you got a perspective on that you want to toss in?
DCCs are an interesting tool, and it's very much a balance. If your DCCs are too high, you can deter development from occurring. If your DCCs are too low, then you're putting the burden of development and future upgrades of the infrastructure on your tax base.
Existing taxpayers subsidize new development.
Exactly, and so it's really a balance. Right now, I think our DCCs are actually generally on the lower end when you compare it to similar communities of our size. That being said, I think they're appropriate for what we're doing. What we're seeing right now is we're seeing a lot of people looking at Campbell River and wanting to develop here and coming and talking to us, and we're having lots of discussions with developers from all over BC and all over Alberta that are looking at developing here because of the affordability of land and the affordability of the way we deal with our development cost charges currently.
You want to toss anything in?
Well, I'll just add that we have had reduced DCCs for our downtown as well to incentivize
That's where I was going next.
So that's something that's been helpful. We're seeing more development in our downtown, and that makes a difference. And our development cost charges are such an important part of us being able to provide infrastructure, servicing, maintenance, upgrades that are needed in our community. And we're in no different a boat than many other communities across the country where we have aging infrastructure. that is in need of upgrade. And so it's important to make sure that new development contributes to those costs. But as Kevin says, it's also important to really find that balance. And when we do compare ourselves with similar communities, we are a little bit lower than many of them, and we're fairly well positioned, I'd say, in terms of our development cost charges.
Now you've got something happening on Tyee Plaza. Is that approved, by the way?
There's a development permit that's been approved for a new residential building to go into Tyee Plaza.
What's going to happen on the 3.5 plus 6 equals 9.5 acre site down by the water that's been vacant forever?
That's a good question. Mayor and council have actually set up a task force, a waterfront task force, to look at that site specifically. A couple of years ago, the city did a downtown design charrette focused on that site specifically and looking at what the different potential scenarios were for development, protection of public space, and integrated uses on the site. And so the task force will be reviewing that information and then looking at the next steps, what additional public consultation is needed, and then developing a vision and the steps really for the city to move forward with developing or seeking development interest in our portion, so the 3.5 acres of the site that the city owns.
Okay, I think she answered that, but I'm not sure. There's a map of the downtown area, and it's got a sort of like a frying pan. There's a long, thin strip. Is there much potential area for development remaining?
There's a lot of potential in our downtown for potential redevelopment of existing sites. There are some vacant sites as well. So I think over the next few years we'll see more mixed use. We are hoping to attract more multi-family residential to our downtown as well. Bringing people into the downtown will help us to animate our downtown, make it more lively, but then also help to support the businesses in our downtown.
Right. Well, you're doing very well. Now, we're going to have a bit of fun. We don't have much fun here, I'll talk about. Zoning can be used for a lot of things.
Yes.
And right now I've got a headline, City Council moves to make pot dispensaries illegal. So they're using zoning to control what apparently, according to Prime Minister Trudeau, a year from now will be a legal industry. But, and then there's another one, council has tasked city staff to prohibit pay parking at the hospital. So you're using zoning, or you may try to use zoning for parking too. Is that getting from principle to minute detail too much, or is that normal?
Well, why don't we address those two as separate issues? And Kevin, do you want to speak to the marijuana one?
Certainly. So for the marijuana dispensaries one, we're not looking at making legal uses unable to occur in our community.
Right.
What we're looking at doing with that is provide clarity on how marijuana operations can occur within our community. And so there's a difference between a cannabis or a pot dispensary that are just selling pot for recreational use and things of that nature that are not permitted or licensed through Health Canada versus operations that are permitted and licensed through Health Canada. What we're proposing is to actually provide a definition around what a marijuana operation are, and then those operations that are legally permitted to occur currently under the current legislation, we can work with them to determine exactly how we can place them within our community. So in other words,
no freelancers?
Well, basically how the legislation at the federal level works is, there's quality control and all different elements put into that legislation to ensure appropriate production of the medicinal marijuana for the people using it. Some of the challenges is that how do ones that aren't licensed through Health Canada, how are they ensuring that the product that they're selling is going to be safe and things of that nature. And so that's the primary concern through the federal government. And as you've seen the article today, I'm assuming, is that they've now stated that they're going to be working on legalization for spring of 2017. So what we're trying to do is provide greater clarity for those people that want to proceed with this use within our community through the current federal legal means.
Now, hypothetical. Let's say a kid went into one of these dispensaries a week ago, got some pot and had a bad experience, got into a car accident. Could the parents sue the city for negligence for not enforcing against an illegal activity?
I'm not too sure.
Well, I think they could, and that's one of the reasons the city is prudent, I would say, to, hey, keep it legal. Now, parking. I cheered when I saw this because I think it's, especially at a hospital where it's had free parking and people are used to it, also a hospital that has many people driving from distance and they got to leave their car there. So is it feasible to zone against pay parking?
Well, that's something that we need to look into a little bit further. Typically, how our zoning bylaw would be used with regards to parking is in terms of the provision of parking associated with different types of land development. And so the number of parking spaces that need to be provided with a new commercial development or with a new residential development, for example.
Yeah.
We don't currently use our zoning bylaw to regulate pay parking. So at this stage, it's something that we'll look into further. It has been done in some other communities, but we need to look into the legalities of it and what the opportunities and limitations are. And we may find that that's a tool that we can work with, or we may find there's a better tool for us to work with.
Now, the Vancouver Island Hospital Authority, or is it Health Authority? But anyway, the operators of the hospital are a provincial agency. Are they subject to municipal rules?
Generally speaking, they're outside municipal rules. That being said, new buildings need to be in the appropriately zoned areas within the community, so where an institutional use is permitted, which is currently the place that exists at our hospital site. So really, if the city were to want to move forward on this, I think we would be looking to work with Island Health as well on any direction that comes from council.
Good luck on that. City task forces to tackle forestry and waterfront site. Actually, we've kind of dealt with the waterfront. And the forestry, the urban forest strategy, do you guys have anything to do with that?
We're involved with the Urban Forest Management Plan along with our Parks Department. However, I believe the task force that council has set up around forestry is looking at community forests, and so that's not something that our department is directly involved in, so we can't give you too many details there.
I know you can talk about urban gardens though.
Sure.
Well, we've got, what, 4 community gardens in town now, or 3? 4?
4, I believe,
Yeah,
and
the
a few school
church.
gardens.
Okay, yeah. But the Sustainable Official Community Plan, which has this great graphic up on, is it the 2nd or 3rd floor of City Hall? Do you count it?
Our green roof, are you referring to?
Well, no. That graph,
on the 2nd floor.
This is the 2nd floor. Okay, so there's a basement and then the 1st floor and then the 2nd floor. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great, only 4 minutes left. That's a great image. And when you explained it on the video we did for the Campbellton Community Garden, I thought you did a great job of pointing out where sustainability fits into the OCP.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And since we've only got a few minutes left, I got to raise this. Amber is 9 months pregnant. She's leaving. She also recently got nominated as one of the top 20 under 40, along with Allison Kilby and Amanda Rowley. And then you were also the Future 15, which is a Chamber of Commerce thing. Congratulations. And,
Thank you.
You didn't apply for either of those, I gather.
It was a great surprise to be nominated. I was very honored because there are so many people in our community and across the island that are very actively involved in making their communities a great place.
Yeah. How long have you been here?
I've been with the city for 6.5 years now.
Oh, time flies.
Time does fly, yeah.
Where did you get your education?
I went to the University of Edinburgh in Scotland for my master's, which was in community planning, and I did my undergraduate at UBC.
Huh. 2 minutes. Why did you come to Campbell River? I guess there was a job offered. But.
Well, actually, my husband and I were really interested in moving to the island. We'd been living in Vancouver, and we knew a lot about the Comox Valley. And when we saw the posting for Campbell River for the job position, I thought, wow, that sounds right up my alley. Originally, I started with the city as the sustainability manager, and they were starting a new sustainability department. And we instantly fell in love with Campbell River. We didn't know a lot about it before we came here, but our setting, the people, the community, and culture are just great.
What does your husband do? Not that it It's in private.
My husband is in marketing and he works in the beverage industry.
Okay, great. I think you got 30 seconds about energy. How are we doing on energy?
Well, we are actively promoting our Power Down Campbell River Home Energy Rebate Program, which is starting in the beginning of June. We will be offering a whole range of rebates for home energy audits and for energy upgrades in partnership with BC Hydro and Fortis BC.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that, because it'll be great for community members to improve the energy efficiency of their homes.
1 minute. Well, thank you both for coming in. Is there something, Kevin, you wanted to toss in?
No,
Okay, it's good.
Not specifically.
Well, you guys are both very knowledgeable, and I appreciate the time for you coming in to talk about it.
Anytime.
Well, perhaps in the fall.
Thanks for having
Okay,
us.
Thanks. Yeah, let's close out here. Shout out to Brian Shaw for sponsoring the show. Shout out to the volunteers, Valerie and Laura, for doing the cameras, and for Shaw TV North Island for posting it. If you want to watch again, Shaw TV has a YouTube channel. If you Google Shaw TV North Island, you'll probably find it. You might have to jump a bit, but thanks again for watching.